gosh, it's so great to be here in Iowa. I have to tell you, I want to thank each and every one of you for coming out to the Roast and Ride to help the awesome Senator Joni Ernst. When Joni invited me to come, I said, I've never been to Iowa. But if you have, thank you, but if you have barbecue and you have Harleys, that's my kind of place. You know, like Iowa, my home state of South Carolina is another of those early presidential primary states. So we know what it's like to have that parade of candidates come through every 4 years. Some years it's kind of fun. But I gotta tell you, this year I feel really sorry for you guys. You have to sit through visit after visit from Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, Joe Biden, and 20 others. You're even going to be seeing a lot of New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio. That's rough, and I will tell you, New Yorkers want you to keep him. It's a really odd collection of liberals, radicals, and socialists. And I know a lot about liberals, radicals, and socialists. In case you forgot, I used to work at the United Nations. The UN is such an unusual place. Nowhere else in the country can you hear America being denounced in 10 different languages at the same time. Unless, of course, you're on any of our college campuses. It really was an honor and a pleasure to serve at the United Nations. Every day at the UN felt like I had to put on body armor. I knew there would be a fight, I just didn't know which country I was fighting that day. When I went to the UN, I wanted to make sure that we changed the culture. I wanted every country to know we were taking names. The UN bureaucrats didn't quite know what to do with that. We needed to have the backs of our allies, and we expected our allies to have our backs. That's a far cry from what happened at the UN under President Obama. That's when we sided with America's enemies and we didn't support our friends. It got so bad that when communist Cuba put forth a UN resolution blaming America for everything that's wrong in their country, the Obama administration abstained. Abstained, think about that. We changed all that, and President Trump was absolutely great to work with. We saw eye to eye on just about everything at the UN. And I will tell you, during my time at the UN, do you remember there was that vote on the president's courageous decision to move our embassy in Israel to Jerusalem? First of all, just imagine that. The United States puts our embassy in the capital of every country. Why wouldn't we do the same thing in Israel? We recognize the truth that Jerusalem is the capital of Israel. As a sovereign country, we have the right to put our embassy anywhere we want. We don't need UN approval. And yet, God bless them, the United Nations decided they needed to vote on whether we could do that. They were determined to have this vote to try and humiliate America. We warned them we would be taking names. We ended up getting more votes on our side than any of them ever thought we would. But we still lost by a really big margin. But on this one, we did more than just take names. This vote inspired me and my team at the U.S. mission to put together a strategy book that listed how often each country voted with us and how often each country voted against us. And we compared that to how much foreign aid we were giving to each of those countries. It was really stunning. Country after country works against us at the UN. Then they turn around with their hands out asking for foreign aid. Pakistan was a good example. We were giving Pakistan $1 billion a year for their military. They would vote against us at the UN constantly. But worse than that, they were harboring terrorists that were trying to kill our soldiers. So we ended that, and Pakistan doesn't get any money anymore. So we put together this book, and I took it to President Trump. And he was totally outraged. You should have seen him. He was going page by page, yelling out these countries, saying, I just talked to them on the phone. Or do you see this? Nigeria? What is happening? South Africa? And then he'd go, Guatemala? Oh my gosh, he was beside himself. The administration is now, I'm proud to say, reviewing every foreign aid program to make sure we're helping our friends and not our enemies. That, my friends, is what taking names is all about. So President Trump is running again next year, and I know all of you are going to do everything you can to help him get reelected. Was a great Trump state in 2016. We need to do that again in 2020. Iowa is crucial. We have to have it. So we need everyone to double their efforts to help the president next year. Just think about what happens if you don't. Anyone here like the Green New Deal? No. Anyone here like the Green New Deal? No! Does anyone here like open borders? No! Does anyone here want socialist health care? No! Does anyone here like political correctness? No! Those are the things we're going to have if we don't get President Trump elected. So I have to tell you, we're all going to work really hard, but I'm really here today for the great Senator Joni Ernst. I was so honored when she asked me to come here, and it's not just because of the barbecue. Well, mostly not because of the barbecue. Joni is awesome. I mean, the rest of the country needs to thank Iowa for sending her to the Senate. Joni has never forgotten that she represents Iowa and not Washington. When Joni votes for conservative Supreme Court justices, she's standing up for Iowa's values. When Joni supports a strong military, which, by the way, she's done her whole life, and with incredible personal sacrifices, she's standing up for Iowa's values. When Joni fights for strong border security and building the wall, she is fighting for Iowa's values. But the best thing about Joni that she's doing is that she's doing what she said she would do. When she ran for the Senate 5 years ago, you remember what she said, right? She said she was going to make them squeal. I love that. And that's exactly what she's done. If you listen closely, you can hear them. The swamp in Washington is less swampy because of Joni Ernst and how hard she works. Like Joni, I grew up in a rural town with a population of 2,500 people. You couldn't think about doing something wrong without somebody already telling your mom and dad. But with small towns, you have small town values. And we looked after each other. That's what you do in communities like these. And you take those values with you wherever you go. And that's what Joni brings to the U.S. Senate. She took Iowa values to D.C. And let me tell you, that place really needs it. Joni, as you heard, and I'm a military wife, Joni was the first female combat veteran in the Senate after spending 23 years serving in our military, including in the Middle East and in Iraq. We thank you. You want people like that who have served in combat to be dealing with issues of war and peace. She's an inspiration to all of us, and we have to keep fighting to have her in the Senate. Now, there's one more thing. We only have a narrow Republican majority in the Senate, just 3 seats. You want to know what's at stake? Look at the House. Because we lost the majority in the House last year, and we now have Nancy Pelosi and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and the socialists running the show. We cannot allow that to happen in the Senate. Every Senate seat matters. And the Iowa seat matters a lot more because it's Joni's seat. The left is in the process of becoming avowed socialists. They say we need socialism to address income inequality. That's a cruel hoax. Capitalism is not perfect. We know that. But it is the best and most vibrant economic system ever devised. We should never shy away from saying that. The only equality socialism brings is exactly what it has done in Venezuela. Making people equal, all right, but they're equal in their poverty and their starvation. I've been on the Venezuelan border. We can never allow that to happen to America, ever. And then there's immigration. I am the proud daughter of Indian parents who came to America legally. They put in the time, they put in their price, they sacrificed so our family could know the opportunities and freedoms of America. They are offended by those who come here illegally. No one gets a pass. If you don't follow our laws to come to America, why should we think you're going to follow our laws when you get to America? America is a country of laws. The second we give up being a country of laws, we give up everything this country was founded on. For the good of those here legally, and for those who want to come here legally, we owe it to all of them to pass immigration reform and help President Trump secure our border. It is a national emergency. We have to do something about it. So the stakes are really high in this election. You can count on Joni to do her part. She's a super hard worker. But we need all of you to go out and become part of Joni's campaign. It's going to be a competitive race. Iowa's always competitive. We can't take anything for granted. Today's the campaign kickoff, and I'm so proud to be here to support Joni, but you're the ones that are going to win this race. You're the ones who are going to knock on the doors and make the phone calls and rally your friends and neighbors. If each of you commits to doing that, she will win. And we all will win. I will tell you that when I was at the UN, I traveled around the world. I saw a lot of great things. I saw a lot of horrible things. We've got our share of problems here at home. But I will tell you, on our worst day, we are blessed to live in America. let those politicians who come through Iowa tear down our country. You know my parents immigrated from India. There was never a day they didn't tell my brothers, my sister, and me every day how blessed we were to be in this country. And we have to do everything we can to make sure that 2020 is great for Donald Trump and for Joni Ernst and for all people in Iowa. But I will tell you, Joni's a mother. She's a combat veteran. She's a fighter. She's a leader. She's a friend. Let's all get out. Let's all fight. We need to re-elect Senator Joni Ernst.